Imagine a love built on trust, years of shared dreams, quiet moments, and an unspoken promise of loyalty. Now, imagine that sacred bond being obliterated by the sting of betrayal. What happens when a devoted wife discovers that the man she promised forever has a secret lover? Tonight, we reveal the gripping story of Edmond and Lucy Jenkins, a couple whose seemingly perfect life masked a devastating betrayal. This is a tale where loyalty collides with deceit, where heartbreak morphs into desperation, and where a hand once held in love finds itself reaching for a knife. Stay with us, because this is the dark side of devotion, a journey from trust to betrayal, from heartbreak to murder. In the picturesque New England town of Maplewood, Edmond and Lucy Jenkins were the couple everyone admired. Edmond, a successful medical doctor and businessman, possessed a sharp wit and serene demeanor. Lucy, a talented graphic designer, was known for her warm smile and magnetic energy. Together, they embodied the ideal of a loving, committed marriage. Their story began in college, a whirlwind romance built on mutual respect and unwavering support. They had weathered every storm, celebrated every triumph, and built a foundation that felt indestructible. At their 10-year anniversary, surrounded by friends and family, they reaffirmed their vows, toasting to a lifetime of happiness. To those who knew them, Edmond and Lucy weren't just a couple, they were a beacon of what true love looked like. But behind the walls of their beautiful Maplewood home, a quiet unease was brewing, a faint whisper of doubt that would soon grow into a deafening scream. The first signs were subtle, a shift in routine, a shadow falling across a once transparent bond. Edmond, usually open and engaged, began acting evasive. Late nights at the office became the norm. Business trips grew more frequent. He was distracted, irritable, quick to dismiss questions. The phone that had once been left openly on the nightstand now lived in the confines of his palm. Lucy noticed it all. The new cologne he hadn't worn before. The sharp suits pressed for trips he refused to elaborate upon. The quick calls ended when she entered the room. The hastily silenced notifications. The quiet tension that settled like mist across their once serene household. With every glance and every silence, suspicion tightened its grip. What felt like a faint whisper soon became a rising alarm. Lucy knew her husband. She knew when something was amiss. And deep in the quiet spaces of her heart, a cold, gnawing dread began to take root. The breaking point came one quiet evening. Edmond claimed he had a late dinner with a client and left his phone charging on the counter. Against every instinct for trust, Lucy acted. Her hands shook as she picked up the phone, her breath catching as she discovered a hidden messaging app. What she found was a brutal unraveling of the life she had built. Explicit texts, intimate photographs, and passionate voice messages exchanged between Edmond and a woman named Sophia Hayes. The thread spoke of a future together, a life Edmond promised to build with another. The betrayal was total, the intimacy profound, the deceit long-standing. Lucy felt the room spin as the air was pulled from her lungs. The man she had called her husband for 10 years had promised forever to another woman. The words he spoke, the promises he made, weren't for her anymore. They were for Sophia. It was as if her world had shattered in an instant. Her trust, her identity as a wife, her belonging in the world Edmond had promised to share. The sting of betrayal became a burning ember lodged deep within her chest. What had been a faint suspicion now exploded into a consuming truth. The man she had built a life with was plotting to leave her, and nothing would ever be the same. The night of the reckoning arrived like a storm. Edmond came home to find Lucy waiting, phone in hand. The air was charged with tension. The woman he had promised forever stood before him, her voice shaking, her eyes burning with pain. Lucy, a late dinner? Or was that code for a rendezvous with Sophia? Edmond, stammering, Lucy, I can explain. Lucy, explain? You promised her a future. You promised her a life that was supposed to be ours. You promised her forever, the forever you swore to me. He tried to reason, tried to downplay the betrayal, calling it a mistake or confusion. But the dam had broken. Lucy's voice rose to a wail, shaking with heartbreak and burning with betrayal. Lucy, all these years, Edmond. All the nights, the moments, the vows. And for what? To be thrown away. To be replaced. To be humiliated. Edmond, voice cold. It's over, Lucy. I've chosen Sophia. Our marriage is done. I'm leaving tonight. 6 words. I've chosen Sophia. I'm leaving tonight. Acted like a match thrown into a room already doused with gasoline. In that moment, the warmth of 10 years was extinguished. What remained was a flame of pure, uncontainable fury. The moment was a blur, a volcanic eruption of heartbreak and desperation. The sharp glint of a kitchen knife became a weapon. The air shook with a soundless scream as years of betrayal, deceit, and rejection cascaded into one catastrophic, irreversible act. In that breathless moment, a devoted wife became an avenger. A hand that had once offered comfort and warmth now acted as the hand of judgment. The knife found its mark. Edmond fell, a crimson witness to the heartbreak he had caused. The sound of silence engulfed the room, a silence that spoke volumes, of trust broken, of a heart shattered, of a life ended. Lucy stood, shaking, as the reality of what she had done sank in. The sting of betrayal was replaced by a consuming terror, a desperation that felt like drowning. The man she had built a life with lay at her feet, motionless, a stark and tragic end to a chapter that had promised forever. Hours later, under the harsh lights of the Maplewood police station, Lucy spoke. Her voice was a broken whisper, punctured by moments of heartbreak and guilt. Detective Green. Lucy, can you tell us why you acted as you did? Lucy. Through sobs. He used me, betrayed me, promised a future to another. He promised forever, and then threw it away like it meant nothing. It was too much. The betrayal, the pain, it was too much. Detective Green. And you acted in that moment? Lucy, voice shaking. I didn't mean to. I just wanted him to understand. To feel the pain he caused. To acknowledge the life he had torn apart. It was like a flood. Anger, heartbreak, desperation. And when he said he was leaving, when he said he chose her, I just snapped. Through trembling words and choking sobs, Lucy laid bare the agony of a love twisted by betrayal. An act born not of calculated malice, but of heartbreak too deep for words. The trial of Lucy Jenkins shook Maplewood and beyond. The jury grappled with a complex portrait of betrayal, heartbreak, and crime. For many, she was a tragic figure, a devoted wife pushed to the edge by a betrayal too profound to comprehend. They argued that she acted in a moment of madness, her emotions a storm too overwhelming to contain. But for others, she was a murderer, regardless of circumstance. They asserted that no betrayal, no heartbreak, justified extinguishing a human life. The court became a space for a deeper conversation about love and loyalty, about betrayal and despair, and about the thin line that separates heartbreak from tragedy. Lucy's story leaves us with a burning question. Can love, when twisted by betrayal, drive someone to kill? Was this a crime of passion, a desperate reaction to heartbreak, or the tragic result of a love that lost its way? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. This is just one example of how trust can turn into tragedy. If you're captivated by stories of heartbreak, betrayal, and crime, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell for more shocking true crime cases from Heartstrings and Handcuffs. Stay tuned for our next deep dive into the darker side of devotion.